Let me give you an overview here. So filing through the wrong form of business is really the first mistake you should avoid. So the first step when doing your business taxes, especially for your single member LLC, is to make sure you are filing through the right form of business. So the most common business structures in the United States are sole proprietorships, partnerships, corporations, and limited liability companies, otherwise known as LLCs. But in this case, we are speaking about single member LLC, okay? So the business structure you choose to file through will affect your taxes or the taxes that you are paying. So please choose wisely. So you have sole proprietorship. This is a common form of business organization. As a sole proprietor, you are solely liable for all financial obligations of the business. So if you have a single member LLC, the IRS will treat you as a sole proprietorship for tax purposes. In other words, you are seen as a disregarded entity. Okay, so don't actually forget to you need to remember three things. You need to have Schedule C for reporting income or losses from your business, Form 1040 for filing your annual income tax return, and Form 1099 if you have paid over $600 for the services of an independent contractor. You will have to file that form. And you have to receive also 1099 MIS or NEC if you actually worked for someone and you received a lot of cash. You received income from that partnership. Okay, so in terms of partnership, so when two or more people are involved in a business, you can choose to start a partnership. Income tax time, a partnership has to file an annual information return to report the business income, deduction, and losses. I'm just telling you this because it's very important to remember that you want to make sure that you are indeed a single member LLC. So when we talk about a partnership, you have to think about two forms when filing your taxes. You have Form 1065 to report the partnership's income, losses, and deductions, and Form 1040 to report your individual income tax returns. For S corporations, you have Form 2553 if you have not formally elected your business as an S corporation. Okay, you will need to file this form within 2 months and 15 days of the beginning of the tax year. So you can be a single member LLC, but file your taxes as an S corporation. You got to think also about Form 1120S and Schedule K1. And for the LLC, so if you're a single member LLC, if you're indeed a single member LLC, you only have Form 1040 and Schedule C. And if you're a multi-owner LLC or partnerships, you have Form 1065, Form 1120, and Form 1040. So the second mistake is not gathering basic information before filing. See, the whole thing is that you have a single member LLC, okay, but you want to file your taxes, but you don't have all the records that you need. It's really important. We want to go back to what I said earlier, that it's important to have the appropriate records. By the way, I want to welcome everybody. Welcome back to the channel. It's fantastic to have you here. We're having a wonderful conversation about single member LLC tax mistakes that you need to avoid. So when it comes to doing right by your business, your single member LLC business, the worst thing you can do is get sloppy when it comes to taxes. Before you file your single member LLC taxes, take the time to make sure you've got all the basic information you need. It's always important. Even if somebody else is filing on your behalf, you have to give that person, that tax practitioner, all the documentation that is needed to back up all your claims for credits and deductions. Okay. So the easiest way to limit stress around tax time is by prioritizing your financial health throughout the year. Not only your health, but also your company's health. Okay. If you commit to staying on top of your finances year round, you'll have everything you need on hand and will not have to scramble to gather basic information at the last minute. It's all about tax planning. It's all about making sure that you do things throughout the year continuously and have a routine in place whereby you are able to gather and store all the documentation, all the financial documentation that could actually pertain to your single member LLC tax preparation. So I'm talking about things like your social security number, your receipts, your sales records for your single member LLC, returns and allowances for your single member LLC, business checking and savings account for your single member LLC. Remember, everything has to be under the single member LLC's name. Okay, inventory. I'm speaking about purchases ending inventories, cost of materials and supplies. Those are important. Additional expenses. So I'm speaking about business trips, travel that you have taken. And please make sure that you have the appropriate documentation to substantiate all of those expenses. And wages paid to employees. Remember, you can be a single member LLC but have employees. Okay, a single member LLC just means that you own the business, free and clear. But you can have employees, you can have contractors, you can have whatever you want. Another mistake that a lot of single member LLC owners make when they file taxes is they actually lump business and personal expenses together. I want to quickly remind everybody of today's topic. We're speaking about single member LLC tax mistakes. Okay, so the thing here is that you see, the IRS looks at you as a disregarded entity. In other words, even if you have a single member LLC, you have a properly established, properly organized business, the IRS is looking at you as it's basically confusing your personal affairs and your business's affairs. That's how the IRS looks at you. In essence, the IRS is treating you as a sole proprietorship. Okay, so it's really important for you to actually segregate your personal affairs from your business affairs. Okay, so part of effectively managing your single member LLC business is making sure that your single member LLC business is separate from your personal affairs. You have to keep those business and personal expenses separate. It's because failing to do so can cause errors in your bookkeeping and create larger, more complicated organizational tasks when tax time comes along. One way to easily keep your business and personal expenses separate is by getting a business bank account. And I will even go further. You want to get a business credit card, so you take care of the deposit side of things and also on the credit side of things. Okay, so this way you can make sure you're not using your personal accounts for business transactions. Make sure you are also keeping your business and personal receipts separate. This could be as simple as having two different folders if you are collecting physical receipts and separate email folders for electronic receipts. It's really important to actually separate everything. You want to separate everything, all the way to even emails. Okay, don't actually have the same email for your personal affairs but also for your business affairs. No, create two separate emails. Okay, if you have a business partner or employees, speak to them about following your lead and keeping track of their own expenses. So savvy business owners should make use of the endless list of business management tools that can aggregate your business spending for you. So this is really important. There are tools out there, and for example, if you think about QuickBooks Online, you have Expensify, you have Wave, you have Xero, you have Zoho Accounting. There is a constellation of tools, and they can help you, and they're there to help you run your single member LLC business more efficiently. Another mistake, missing out on business deductions. This is a biggie, really a biggie. So running a single member LLC business is not cheap though, when you really think about it, and often requires you to take risks financially. People say, well, if I'm a self-employed, I don't have a business. You do have a business. You're self-employed, you're an independent contractor, you're a single member LLC. There are a lot of things that you really you have to spend money on, right? So don't cheat yourself out of tax deductions you are legally owed. So the more you can deduct, the less you will pay in taxes, and this money can go right back into your single member LLC business. Okay, so the thing here is that you have to understand the IRS actually releases every now and then a list of things that really can be common tax deductions for small businesses and sole proprietors, including single member LLCs. Okay, so it's really important. You want to claim everything. You want to write off everything allowable under the law. So some common deductions include cars and trucks, salary and wages, contracted labor, supplies, rent on business property, home office, travel, advertising, legal fees, and this again are some of the most common deductions, but this is not an exhaustive list. If one of your business expenses is not listed above, you can always find out if it is deductible by visiting the IRS websites. One thing I want to say here is that the kinds of expenses that you're going to have on on your business taxes for your single member LLC will depend on the niche you're in, will depend on the sector you're in. Okay. Now, the expenses I give you are general expenses, but specifically, you might have some expenses that only pertain to your specific industry. Now, this is why we always say, listen, if you have, let's say, a big operation, a complex tax, if you need a complex tax, I would say, a piece of advice, it's always better to hire a professional. Because the thing is that tax professionals do save you money. They don't cost you money. You might pay the person maybe $200 or $300, but if that person can save you thousands of dollars, it's definitely worth it for your single member LLC business. Another mistake is neglecting bookkeeping until tax season. By the way, I want to remind everybody of today's topic. We're having a conversation about single member LLC tax mistakes that you should avoid going forward. So, neglecting bookkeeping until tax season, this is a big one. See, the best way to limit stress when it comes to tax season is by keeping your thumb on bookkeeping throughout the year. So if you don't feel confident about staying on top of your business books, it might be a great idea to hire a bookkeeper for your single member LLC. So I want you to take the time to hire someone who is good at what they do and won't cause more problems for your single member LLC business. Okay. And the thing is that now I get it. Not every single member LLC business has it in their budget to hire a bookkeeper. So the thing is, if this is the case for you, another option is to integrate your bookkeeping with other financial management tools. I spoke earlier about Expensify, Wave, Zoho, QuickBooks, Xero, and so on and so forth. Mistake number 6, choosing to not file business taxes online. So thanks to advances in technology, filing business taxes is easier than ever, especially for your single member LLC. Why? It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier. It's a lot faster too. So you can now file your taxes online. And filing taxes online is not only quick and easy, but it's also safer and more accurate than doing it manually. So instead of preparing your paperwork and to actually take to someone to do your single member LLC taxes for you, save time and money by preparing your taxes online for free. Mistake number 7, skipping proofreading. So one mistake one of the best business owners make when it comes to a single member LLC tax planning and doing their taxes is not taking the time to proofread the forms you are submitting. Okay, so we're speaking about what? Your 1040. We're speaking about your Schedule C. And if your single member LLC has elected to be taxed as an S corporation, we're talking about your Form 1120S and Schedule K1. If your single member LLC has elected to be taxed as a corporation, then you are speaking about what? We're speaking about Form 1120 with all the related forms. If your single member LLC has elected to be taxed as a partnership, then basically you're going to have to file Form 1065 with the Schedule K1. So one thing I want to say here is that you always want to actually proofread whatever you submit. Okay, and so by not taking the time to proofread before filing your taxes, you can end up sabotaging yourself and your business. So small errors such as misspelled names, information on the wrong line, or an incorrect social security number can have serious consequences. So make sure you take the time to carefully read and reread your forms. Let me give you a bonus here. If you have made it so far, I really want to reward you by giving you a bonus. So the thing here is that a limited liability company is created by many taxpayers to receive more protection from the federal government, right? So when you think about a single member LLC, it's basically the same concept as any other LLC, only that it is limited to a single member or employee of the company. Remember, because you are an employee, it doesn't mean you cannot hire other people. Okay, there are disadvantages and advantages to creating a limited liability company when it comes to taxes. So how do you actually avoid single member LLC tax errors? Well, you have to understand. Let's understand a single member LLC itself. So when you think about a single member LLC, you're thinking about a registered business with only one owner or member. Limited liability companies may have more than one member. Okay, yet in this video, we only focus on single member LLCs. And LLCs can elect to get treated like a corporation, but it's rare. Instead, most single member LLCs have all of their income and expenses related to the enterprise reported on a Schedule C attached to IRS Form 1040. So this is really different from an LLC with more than one member or a corporation where the single member's income and expenses are aggregated with the other income and expenses of the partnership or a corporation reported on the tax return of the entity. So there are some advantages. Let's just talk about advantages of single member LLCs. So several self-employed individuals elect to create a limited liability company to receive more legal protection. And a single member LLC acts as a shield that protects your assets from the liabilities associated with the business conducted by the company. So a single member LLC also receives protection from debts related to the company. So this is really good. So single member LLCs also save money and time during tax season. So what happens here is that profits and losses are reported on an individual Schedule C as if the company was a sole proprietorship. That's what I just said before. We're speaking about disregarded entity from the IRS. Therefore, the LLC does not have to file a separate return like a corporation. It essentially avoids double taxation. Lastly, single member LLCs are not required to file annual reports or minutes like partnerships and corporations do. So this is the rules are more lenient for single member LLCs. Now let's talk about the drawbacks, the disadvantages of single member LLCs. Now, one thing you need to understand is that there is a common filing error when we talk about the single member LLCs is when founders falsely believe they have a complete shield of legal protection. For example, neglecting to keep good records can get you in a lot of trouble. That's what I just said earlier. In terms of record keeping, you got to have a strong process in place. You'll still need to keep records of all profits and losses, including receipts for business expenses you plan to claim as tax deductions. And the IRS is really, really strict when it comes to that particular aspect of things. So please be very careful here and be very thorough also. You need basic things like an operating agreement to prevent someone else from suing you and ultimately holding you financially liable. The same is true of getting protection from the IRS in the event of an audit, okay? And in addition, despite the general belief that limited liability companies are not completely shielded from financial responsibility, there are cases in the United States where the courts determine LLCs were liable, since single member LLCs are sometimes considered disregarded entities. That's why you really have to be very careful in terms of how you actually segregate your personal affairs from your business's affairs, okay? To prevent being held liable for entity taxes as a sole proprietor, it's important that you speak to a tax professional or have a clean plan moving forward, okay? Some simple yet often overlooked tips like filling out a Form 2553 and checking the box to have the LLC treated like an S corporation can prevent the chance of becoming liable for entity taxes or debts. One thing I want to say here is that, and this is I'm going to end on this one. It's important to understand that we are giving you here a general strong foundation when it comes to single member LLC tax mistakes. However, your specific single member LLC might have some particular needs, and that's why it's always better to contact a tax professional. So you can dig a little deeper. You can have a customized, bespoke advice that basically can actually help you optimize your taxes, okay? So always reach out to a CPA, a certified public accountant, reach out to an enrolled agent, reach out to a tax planner, or reach out to a tax attorney. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I was just talking to you about single member LLC tax mistakes that you need to avoid. So we talked about filing through the wrong form of business, not gathering basic information before filing, lumping business and personal expenses together, missing out on business deductions, neglecting bookkeeping until tax season, choosing to not file business taxes online, and skipping proofreading. Thank you. God bless you. I'll see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.